Hello everyone, welcome. Let's start our meetings with character, please. Just reminding everyone that we will be getting recorded. So best smiles forward. Pakataketeho ki te uru, pakataketeho ki te topa, kia ma kina kina kinuta, kia ma taratara ki pai. E hia ke ana te atakura, te tio, te huka, te haupu, te hei, mokio. Ura. We will start with apologies. We have got no apologies as such, but we have got apologies for lateness from Victoria and Mike, and early departure from Mike. And Jake is with us via Zoom today. Can I please call Simon? Pauline. So, may I call for declaration of interest? We have got one from Victoria. So when it comes at the agenda, Victoria will stay back. Next, confirmation of previous minutes. Can I get a mover and seconder? Pauline and Simon. All right. Good, thank you. And today we will start with our public forum with Renee. And Renee is here reporting back under 16 basketball nationals. Yeah, not here at the moment, so that's all right. We'll maybe stuck in traffic, so we'll carry on and we'll try to place.
We're looking for a park.
If she is here, yeah. Next we have Brendan Gardner. Please come to the table. Thank you, Brendan. Welcome. Brendan, yep. So just push that person button, and you have 5 minutes for our public forum.
Cool.
Please.
Yeah. First time I've ever been to this board meeting, so that more people here than I thought there would be.
Welcome.
So yeah.
It's a very popular board.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
And yeah. So Mark's got my presentation up there. Yeah. So yeah, good afternoon, Simon and other community board members. Today I'm here to share some ideas for the development of the Rutland Reserve, specifically for a dedicated kids bike skills track, pump track and other toilet facilities. So the purpose of today's time slot was just to share the ideas, gauge level of interest and discussion on potential next steps forward to investigate this idea. So I've kind of just got 2 slides to share, followed by any questions and discussions. So yeah, next slide, or I can do it there. Yeah, so exactly what I'm talking about is like asphalt pump track and bike skills course, and there are other notable examples in the city such as McLean's Island, Bottle Lake Forest, there's Adventure Park, Westburn bike track on the Morawab, which has recently been developed, Shirley, and yeah, just some photos up there of what we're talking about. And there's also been discussion of the toilet facilities as well to complement the playground and any future development of bike tracks. And also this is at the intersection of the Papanui Parallel and CNC cycleways, so providing benefit there for toilet facilities. So yeah, I guess the main benefit for these bike tracks for the children is we've got much smaller backyards now than children did decades ago, so it's obviously shrinking section sizes from more townhouse developments, and yeah, so increases the need for quality recreational shared spaces. There's also social development skills with kids on these bike tracks, so yeah, they've got to sort of communicate and negotiate with other children of various skill levels, and it builds their general confidence beyond the bike track as well. So, you know, once they learn to master skills like biking, there's knock-on effects to activities such as swimming or school in the classroom. And yeah, it also develops the skills they need for road and bike safety. So really good for, you know, training them up to get out on the cycleways on the main roads. and it obviously gets kids off the screens and builds community. Great place for families and friends to meet. Yeah, this next slide is just around why I think the Rutland Reserve is quite a good spot here in this community. So, yeah, we've obviously got much more development coming up with the Grasmere estate, and there's a lot more urban intensification going on. So, there's a lot more people around this area. And the reserve is probably a little bit lacking. So, adding the bike tracks would increase the appeal of its use. There's also good scooter and bike access from many homes in the area, with the sort of is a good safe spot to get to, with the cycleways that go past it, and obviously adjacent to that future Grasmere development as well. Connection of the Papanui parallel cycleway and CNC. Paparai schools directly adjacent to the reserve, so there could be some benefits there. I've spoken to Di, the principal. She does support any future development there at the reserve. So there's possibilities that the school could utilise any infrastructure such as the bikes in the schools program. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just interested in thoughts, questions, and further steps I could take to investigate. And I'll just leave you with a fact or a quote that, you know, on average back in 1990, there was about 28 minutes per week spent by children biking, and now it's down to less than average 5 minutes per week. So I think that's one important thing to remember. Yeah.
Thank you, Brendan. I've got Pauline and then Simon.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Cool.
Great ideas. Is there a link will there be a link from there into the Grasmere Reserve, do you know, or is that where the? I don't know, that's very nice.
I would be intrigued on that. There's obviously there is like a waterway between, and I think that the Grasmere estate should really consider how that is connected, because I know there's infrastructure going on at the moment for maybe the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there would be a link if the Grasmere estate had a link through to the Papanui parallel and back and around, because it's all cycleways. So I'm sure there would be, but I haven't looked in detail. Yeah.
Because I'm just wondering about the potential for using, you know, DCs in there. And I'm wondering if we could maybe pick that up and query it as well.
Using what, sorry?
Development contributions.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Or some infrastructure there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because as Simon mentioned, it'd be a shame to see like the development contributions not going back to that area. So really actually utilising it again.
Yep.
Thanks very much, Brendan. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
and bringing this to the board and sort of putting it out into public. Something I'm conscious of is that the Rutland Reserve doesn't have any sort of road frontages, and that's sometimes a consideration around safety or perceptions of safety. But if you're in that area, just interested in sort of how you feel about the safety in that area. I guess how busy you see it, like with the cycleways and the paths through there as well, with sort of people.
Yeah, it would definitely need considering. I'm thinking as well the speed that some bikers do go past the reserve, especially on e-bikes. And then in terms of road frontage, I guess it is a benefit that there is not like a busy road close by, but it's also a bit of a disbenefit as well for people wanting to park to go to the reserve if it does become quite popular. So we might need to consider that a little bit. There's quite a few areas that people could park and sort of scoot or bike to the reserve, which is quite nice. Yeah.
There's already a playground there, isn't there? So I think thing must be okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Simon. John?
Yeah, Brendan. I like these as a concept, and and I agree with your point. There are fewer backyards now, so it increases the benefit of these. Now, if obviously this has to be assessed, but if it was to be built, is there a group of residents that would help sort of look after the thing? Stewardship partnership with
I haven't investigated that too much yet, but I could look into, you know, trying to sort of bolster a bit of community sort of onboardness to consider that. I guess the main thing is just making sure it's built well. So like in terms of asphalt, good you know, good construction and, you know, complemented with planting and things like that, so that it isn't a burden to, you know, as an asset to the council and residents as well. So, and there is well-built ones going on now around the city. It's becoming, you know, and throughout New Zealand as well. So there's good designers out there and good construction teams to build these things. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm implying there might not be required, but it's, you know, probably helpful. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. In terms of having a community group that say, yep, we're happy to look after it, the planting and the whatever else needs to.
Yeah, it's sort of ongoing.
Yeah, of course.
Informal oversight of, if you will.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, as an action, I don't know if we can bring an action from the public forum, but through the chair, could we maybe request that staff work with the school or have a chat with the school, and that would be the place to pick up some, you know, a partnership arrangements there as well. And maybe just to pick it up and just have a bit of a sound out to see it's a starting point.
Yeah, I've already chatted to Di, the principal. Sorry, I mentioned it briefly.
We did, at a staff level, it's quite good. We've done.
Yeah.
No,
Because-
it's good to know anyways, principal is supportive of the plan.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Pauline. Emma?
I was just wondering, are the kids using the space at the moment? Like, are they building their own tracks at the moment? Are they
I have noticed
taking ownership?
the odd bike jump around in the track, like sort of piles of dirt that have been left around, but it's not to the level that I have seen in some other parks. So yeah, it's kind of just largely unused grass space that's actually quite boggy. So it would have some, you know, extra construction challenges there too.
So it's not really usable as is.
I don't think it is. It's more like a dog run around, and in the winter it gets pretty boggy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Brendan, for coming to us. I guess we'll seek advice from staff and we can look into the matter, and then how should we progress further?
Yeah.
So we can get school on board and community on board.
Cool.
Look into the concept design as well.
You got 2 schools there as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Just to mention that Grassmere project is our board priority, so we can link us towards that as well. So it's all positives for now. Cool, thank you. Next we have Shirley Community Trust, Dave and Tim. So, may I please invite you guys on the table? So just reminding you guys that we have 5 minutes to speak to, and then we'll see what question answer.
Well, thanks for having us. I'm Dave Pelding and it's Tim McGurk, and was doing a presentation on the Shirley tool shed, which some of you may know about, and just ideas for relocation and potential expansion of that. So what is Shirley tool shed? It's developed this initiative, the Shirley Village Project, operates as a cooperative, provides affordable access to tools for home maintenance and DIY projects, create opportunity for people to do their own home maintenance, place for connection, building relationships in the neighbourhood. So it was started almost 5 years ago now, October 21. It's got about 88 active members, got close to 500 tools and household items that they can use. And so far, it's been over 4,000 items borrowed. That's just a bit of a background on it. So its current location is in the Shirley Rugby League car park, close to this road. A bit out of the way. And just want to note that Shirley Rugby League are looking to sell their land. So the tool shed would need to look for a new location anyway.
That's a definite, is it?
It's they're in the process of looking at a feasibility study of telling because they definitely do want to move location. Yep. So the future vision of the tool shed is to move the tool shed to a more central location on council land in Shirley, where there's better access for the Shirley community. And secondly, to become a place where the local oak timber can be worked on, and a hub for green wood work skills development, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So proposed new location options, got 3 proposals there. One is beside the Shirley Community Trust Park Centre. There's a bit of a grass area there. Second one is at the end of the Kinley, between that and Skipton Street. And the third location is on the south side of Aitchison Ave in the green space there, close to the road. So those are the 3 locations that we looked at, all near to each other and right in the middle of Shirley. It's got access for residents. So I'll hand over to Tim.
I am a builder and do a little bit of art, and I'm sort of working towards doing more art and doing less building. But I have been living for the last 12 years sort of amongst the oak trees, me and my family, and I have been lucky enough to be able to work with the oak recently. 18 months ago, 20 odd trees were taken down and the council kindly gave the trees to us, and we've over the last year we've had 15 to 20 cubic meters of timber milled from these trees, which is now undercover seasoning for the next 2 years. And this has been quite a big process, and one that my colleague is actually wanting to come and sort of share with you in the future. So what I would like to talk to you about though is what we have been doing with the unmilled timber so far, which is in our local community garden, we've been landscaping with the oak in preparation for the planting of an orchard. The work so far has included a hut and a boat and logs to play on, compost bins, potting table, and various seats and other tables. And this work has been done with volunteers from the local community through a series of working bees during autumn, which will be kind of starting up again this spring. And I've found that there are many people in our area who have really enjoyed working with the timber. There's a lot of appetite for that. And so for this reason, I would like to talk about the creation. Oh, sorry, I was just there. For this reason, I'd like to talk about the creation of a covered and a paved area somewhere in the park, which can be usable by people sort of working with the timber as a way of, as over the next 20 years, as inevitably these trees are going to get taken down, that the trees can remain within the community in some form. There is a big tradition of using oak green or wet, and so if there was going to be a sort of an open space, these are the skills that we'd like to be sort of working on with this oak timber. I've just sort of listed the benefits of community workspaces on the slide up there. So the idea that Dave and I would like to put forward is the relocation of the tool shed and also the extension of the tool shed into sort of the tool shed and a place where the oak can be worked on. We propose making the structure in a way utilising the tool shed's existing 2 containers, but making it in a way that's aesthetically acceptable and aesthetically adds to the park space, and making it comply perhaps with Section 1 of the Building Act, and also making it in a way that it can easily be removed once its sort of usage has come to an end. So I guess we would just like to put that out there, for feedback and for any sort of advice or guidance, or also to be told if we're dreaming as well.
Good news, sir.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Looks great idea. But we will seek more advice on it and we'll see how further we can progress. We're a little bit tight on time, so very quick one question.
Yeah. I just wanted to know why the three positions that you've chosen up near the Energy Trust buildings, why not down by the Orchard area? Any particular reason?
Well, one reason is that, well, the tool shed part of it, when people are coming to collect tools and drop them off, some of them are quite large, and you want to be somewhere near their car where they can easily access the tool shed and get it back to their car easily.
It's a really good suggestion. I think if the neighbours around the community garden were more open to these sort of things, the community garden would be a really good location. However, we've had sort of some neighbours who have been not even happy with the community garden. So
Takes a while, give them a dedication.
So, Sunita, can we please note that they mentioned it'll be a temporary building? I think that's really important.
Yeah. So people are aware. Yeah. No, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Tim, for your time.
Thank you.
And a Shirley tool shed is awesome.
Yes.
We are moving into deputation. And just double checking, is Renee here? No? We will contact Renee later. Just moving into deputation, Christopher Pressling will be speaking to the item 9. Can I please request you to the table? Welcome, Christopher.
Thank you very much.
Just a reminder that you've got 10 minutes to speak to. Yeah, thank you.
I expect to try and get through inside that, so you've got time for some questions.
Sure.
This is my oral presentation. I've made a written one. You've now got a copy of the oral presentation being handed out. Firstly, thank you for scheduling me at this time. My submission, as published for this hearing, has a plea that alternatives are considered and that this application is not considered in isolation, as more than one matter might be resolved simultaneously with some lateral thinking. I'm aware that the full council, are the ones that will decide this in the end, and you are recommending to that, and you are hearing from me and others and whatnot, the way we think. But I would expect the testing of this application for the lights to be higher and stronger in North Hagley Park, to be tested against the relevant provisions of the Reserves Act 1977, and to be done comprehensively and not selectively, as well as being evaluated for compliance with the statutory 2007 Hagley Park Management Plan. However, when I read the staff report on the submissions for this application when they were released, I note there is no reference to the Hagley Park Management Plan. Why is that legislated document not referenced? It exists as a mandatory requirement for the council's decision-making process in respect of the management of this specific reserve, including the granting of leases, unlike other metropolitan parks under council control. The council staff must be aware of this particular process to see stated in their report at 6.5.1, quoting, there is no legal context, issue or implication relevant to this decision. That leaves me and others wondering whether the omission was deliberate or ignorant act. I urge you as the panel to seek an explanation before coming to a recommendation. Inserting here, which you haven't got in front of you, I read the Christchurch Civic Trust oral submission document just prior to the commencement of this meeting today. I commend its thorough analysis and referencing as it demonstrates the framework that needs to be applied in assessing this and similar applications. It stands in stark contrast to the minimalist approach presented in the staff report. Ratepayers paid for the staff report. The Civic Trust analysis came free. Had the task been assigned to an external legal firm, the cost would have been reflected as a very high cost for their time spent. And I suspect that the costs are much less for the council's own in-house legal advisors. So returning to line 23 in my oral, I mentioned, was it a deliberate or ignorant act? Referencing exact wording without cherry-picking segments of text is something that I required of my research students as a university professor. Here we are dealing with legislation for which precise interpretation is vital. A suite of rules simply cannot be avoided to suit particular clients. Rules revisions and their promulgation are possible and involve a mandated public consultation process. Until that happens, the Hagley Park Management Plan remains fully active and cannot be sidelined. As a member of the public, I'm left confused as to whether the district plan or the Hagley Park Management Plan prevails with respect to permissible heights for light poles when applied to Hagley Park. They are structures that the plan looks to minimise in this very special park. Other sports fields used for rugby union in other parts of Christchurch do not have the deliberate protection of unique objectives and policies such as contained in the Hagley Park Management Plan. Clearly, those other sports fields are subject to the district plan. My take on the matter is that the HPMP, Hagley Park Management Plan, adds special conditions beyond those articulated in the district plan. To assume otherwise would neuter the special status of Hagley Park, which is the antithesis of the legislative intent. The Environment Court hearings for the Hagley Oval lights recognise their impact on the environment, but in response to overriding earthquake legislation, consented 4 light towers that could be retracted, like those at Lord's Cricket Ground in London, in the United Kingdom. But the court later yielded to pressure to enable international TV broadcasts of night cricket, allowing the 6 permanent high-standing light towers. In bold, I have there, a local rugby club is very different and not being subject to similar commercial pressures. Applications like this from the High School Old Boys Rugby Club for a lease in North Hagley Park should, in my opinion, be evaluated comprehensively and not by ignoring relevant statutory legislation. In my written submission, I suggest that the Addington Temporary Stadium book might be redeveloped in a way that could support the High School Old Boys Rugby Club's night training and other potential users, and in so doing, removing the need to replace the existing lights in North Hagley Park. Opportunities like this involving Hagley Park are scarce. The stadium is a facility that has existing excellent lighting and is centrally located in Christchurch, with ample access to vehicle parking, good public transport. It should not be lost as a viable alternative for training facilities. The opportunity, if followed, would provide Christchurch with an excellent additional night training facilities for both local and visiting sports teams. Therefore, I propose that any decision to grant a lease to the High School Old Boys Rugby Club in North Hagley Park or replacement of lighting for night training be paused, and an evaluation of the alternatives of using the Addison Temporary Stadium be explored. And in my original submission, I outlined some of the possibilities for what might go into that revision of that stadium area. Rather than paying for the capital costs of replacement of lighting, the rugby club would rent facilities at the Addison Temporary Stadium as could other clubs. It would not be required to own and maintain the lights. At least some significant space in Hagley Park might be spared from being festooned with bright lights never anticipated when the park reserve was created. Furthermore, the need for open ground training space in Christchurch will not lessen with time. Retaining that stadium in some form could be an important part of the overall plan, particularly for nighttime training sessions. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have a question?
I do.
Great submission.
No, it's really,
Thank you so much
really
for
good.
your submission.
Yeah, and just to let you know that.
Okay, John.
I do have one question, sorry. Professor Kissling, I read your written submission
Yes.
and I did Google you. I just thought, for the benefit of my memory and for my co-members, could you remind us of your areas of expertise as a professor?
So I remind you of
Your areas of expertise, what your faculty.
my expertise is in transport systems analysis. And I'm a geographer by main discipline, but I wander into other people's territory a lot.
Sure. Thank you.
No, well, thank you so much for taking time and coming and speaking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Derek from Icon, and Derek would be speaking to us about Inner City West Neighbourhood Association.
Sorry about that.
You're speaking on behalf of them, yeah,
Yes, I'm speaking on the same issue
same issue,
that
yeah.
you've just been hearing about.
Yes,
My name's Derek Wallace. Yes, I'm a chair of the Icon of the Inner City West Neighbourhood Association, which joins Hagley Park. And in our constitution, we actually accept guardianship for the park. So we always want to have our position noted. I won't go over the substantial point that was just gone over. Okay. Which is the one that just briefly mention that the report, the council report, in our estimation, fails by not mentioning the statutory legislation and management plan governing the park. I don't see really how any consideration can be made without reference to that. There are other aspects in which the report appears not to be making serious attempt at considering the proposal in depth. The report states that the purpose of the High School Old Boys application is to enhance, I am quoting now, to enhance and improve the safety of nighttime training. However, no evidence has been provided that the existing lighting setup is actually unsafe, or that compromises of safety have actually been experienced as a result of the existing lighting. It reads to me like a kind of token support statement. The report states the current lights do not produce enough direct light and are not adequate for playing under at night. However, these lights with the current dimensions must have been adequate at the time they were installed. Otherwise, no competent body would have installed them to those dimensions. And as far as we know, they've been found satisfactory for some time. We cannot believe that the game of rugby has changed in such a way that lights, once adequate, have suddenly become inadequate. We do accept that the lights might have deteriorated with age. And in fact, we have not objected to the number of individual lights on each pole being increased, therefore enhancing and improving the current arrangement, as long as they can be accommodated without increasing the height of the poles. I think the submission we've just been given actually raises some of the extra questions about that, but I'm sticking to the position that I've been mandated to make. Our problem is with the intrusive effect of the height of the poles in relation to the adjoining tree cover. And this precise concern is warranted by statements in the higher order governing documents the council officers have not seen fit to acknowledge. And let's be clear that this intrusive effect is there even when the lights are not on. Unlike the lights themselves, which are intermittent and seasonal, the higher poles will be there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That is a permanent change to the amenity of the park. It's laid down and protected by the government station. The report writers, my final point, make a completely token effort to do due diligence to the alternatives available. The only option to acceptance of the application that they provide is outright refusal. Clearly, there are other options that could and should be considered in a professional report, including a qualified acceptance, such as the one that we are proposing.
Thank you so much, Derek. Do we have any questions for Derek? No, thank you. You can stick around while you reach to item 9.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have is Hamish and Anna speaking, and for speaking on the same agenda item from Christchurch Civic Trust.
There, opening.
This is really
Welcome in.
statutes. Tēnā koutou katoa. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Christchurch Civic Trust. The Christchurch Civic Trust supports the granting of a ground lease to the High School Old Boys Rugby Club for the installation of 8 new sports field lights in Waipapa Park North. However, the Trust objects to the flagpole's height of 18 metres as proposed by High School Old Boys Rugby and recommended in clause 2D in the officer recommendation. Now, because of the limit for time, I'll skip over some of the quoted text, but you'll be following it anyway. Compliance with statutory requirements. The Trust speaks to you all as elected representatives in your governance role, charged with giving full consideration to every submission or objection and making a recommendation to the Council in respect of this lease application. Approval of a lease in Hagley Park North pursuant to section 54(1)(b) of the Reserves Act is a metropolitan matter requiring a decision of the full Christchurch City Council, in contrast to Christchurch parks elsewhere. This is because of the significance of Hagley Park to the residents of Christchurch as a whole and the implication of decisions made that pertain to the management of it to the wider community beyond the boundaries of the Community Board. As the administering body of Hagley Park, exercising its functions under the Act, the Council has statutory responsibilities to assess this lease application in accordance with all the relevant cross-reference provisions in the Act and all the relevant objectives and policies in the statutory 2007 Hagley Park Management Plan. Thus, the Council's granting of a lease in Hagley Park is no rubber stamping exercise. Non-compliance carries the risk of legal challenge. The lack of relevant information for prospective submitters. The Trust's written submission set out sets out its concerns regarding the lack of relevant information provided. These issues had been raised earlier by two members representing residents groups at the 20th May meeting of the Hagley Park Reference Group. The council's Let's Talk Hagley Park North Floodlights Lease webpage had appeared some days earlier. A council officer attending responded that they didn't like to give too much information to the public. Nevertheless, it was agreed that an image of an existing floodlight pole be included on the website. While this occurred during the public consultation period, the pole height was omitted, notwithstanding the request for this inclusion also. The Trust now notes that the staff report discloses the location of the image of an 18-metre light pole as Darfair Domain, which is not located on council land within the Christchurch city boundary. Furthermore, the staff report at clause 4.7 discloses the existing pole height as assessed to be 14 metres from ground level to the top. Yet disclosure of the existing floodlight pole height for the purpose of public consultation was withheld, notwithstanding the earlier Hagley Park Reference Group request. Thus, not only were prospective submitters unaware of the scale of the increase in height, but consequently were unable to assess the effect of the increased 4-metre height of the proposed 8 floodlight poles on the visual amenity of Hagley Park North's open space. Thus, it remains unknown how many might have chosen to make a submission but did not as a result of the council's omission of this relevant information. Christchurch Civic Trust objection to the proposed 18-metre height of 8 new floodlight poles in Hagley Park North. Clause 4.7.1 states, a council duty planner has confirmed that the light pole structures do not require resource consent because their height is permitted. This is because they are well within the Christchurch District Plan Built Form Standard 18.4.4.2.4 of 30 metres for Hagley Park. However, the stated resource consent exemption and staff recommendation for approval of the proposed 18-metre height rely on an erroneous assumption reached without citation of the text of the rule in its entirety. And I've included the extract from that standard. Any pole or support structure for flood or training lights accessory to sports facilities in Hagley Park. Then the district plan also states how to interpret and apply the rules and states at E, reference should also be made to any other applicable rules or constraints within other legislation, including the following. Number 1, Reserves Act. Furthermore, for the avoidance of doubt, the importance of the context in which words are used, including the zone's objectives and policies in construing a rule, was noted by the High Court, and it's been quoted since. The agenda item is entitled Hagley Park North Sports Field Lighting, and the open space intended for the proposed ground lease is consistently referred to as sports field or sports field in the staff report. Similarly, the numerous rugby union areas in the open space of Hagley Park and elsewhere in Christchurch are listed as sports fields on the council webpage. Earlier this year, a ground lease for the installation of 4 new 19-metre high floodlight lighting poles at Addington Park was approved for the Cashmere Technical Football Club by the local community board. However, unlike Hagley Park, Addington Park is not listed by the council as having an operative management plan required by the Reserves Act with park-specific objectives and policies. The Hagley Park Management Plan sets out the management goals for the council's administration of Hagley Park, and I've listed those. And then to this end, Policy 17.1 of the Management Plan, Buildings and Structures, states that new structures are subject, inter alia, to the following. The requirements of all relevant sections of the Reserves Act 1977 being met, and these include those qualities of the reserve, which from section 17.2c in the Reserves Act, those qualities of the reserve which contribute to the pleasantness, harmony and cohesion of the natural environment and to the better use and enjoyment of the reserve shall be conserved, there being no significant reduction in the overall maintenance of the park's open space landscape character and natural environment,
which is presently not dominated by buildings and hard surfacing, and the structure being in accordance with all other policies of the Happy Park Management Plan. Policy 17.4A requires the council to take into effect the effect of the structure on the Happy Park environment. This extends beyond assessing compliance of light spill and coverage with district plan rules. Yet no council assessment of the effect on the daytime visual amenity of the open space of Hagley Park North of the 4 metre increase in height of the proposed permanent new structures is included in the staff report. Nevertheless, the staff report recommends that this community board recommends to the council that it approve the ground lease. The vision and guiding principles in the council's Our Sportsfield Network Plan for Otatahi Christchurch 2024 are in alignment with the relevant objectives and policies in the Hagley Park Management Plan. Given the Environment Court's 2013 recognition of Hagley Park's historic heritage under 6F of the Resource Management Act to be protected from inappropriate development, the Trust contends that the adverse effect on the open space visual amenity of the proposed 18 metre height would be mitigated by the council's granting of a ground lease for 8 14 metre lighting poles. 7 lighting poles no taller than 13 metres were approved by the local community board in 2025 as capable of supporting new lighting technology in respect of a ground lease for the Sydenham Rugby Club in Waltham Park. Waltham Park has no operative management plan. Examples of such structures at the height of 14 metres for sports field lighting for rugby union club training are provided by New Zealand lighting suppliers, and I could give information about two at another time. Legal considerations and strategy and policy considerations. The clause 2B states approve a ground lease, and it talks about including renewals, and we draw the board's attention to the Hagley Park Management Plan policy regarding leases. No automatic right of renewal should be included in the lease document. Significantly, the statutory 2007 Hagley Park Management Plan is omitted from the list in clause 6.6.3 regarding consistency with council's plans and policies. Furthermore, clause 6.5.1 states there is no legal context, issue or implication relevant to this decision. The staff report includes no assurance that this report has been reviewed by the council's legal team. However, the council's legal advisors reviewed and endorsed the staff report and recommendation without any reservations as to the council's statutory compliance with all the relevant cross-reference provisions in the Reserves Act and all the relevant objectives and policies in the statutory Hagley Park Management Plan. Stating that the decision is consistent with the council's lease policy in one aspect, in clause 6.6, the staff report as a whole cannot be said to be aligned with the following lease policy principles. And I cite B and C.
I have to interject because we are over time but we do have your submission in front
Yes,
of
and I
us.
was near the end anyway.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's a lot of work has gone into it. I really appreciate that. You can wait around while we will reach to item 9. But thank you so much for coming and
But no questions.
so
We have time for questions.
we are running very tight.
That's a very good
Yeah,
submission.
but it's really good
Well.
submission,
Yeah.
very thorough.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well, it's for the Civic Trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. But please stick around. Yeah. Can I please invite Oliver, Salt and Nick up to here, table please. If they wish to, for high school old boys rugby football club.
So we weren't actually planning. So, yeah.
But for that, you need to come on the table. For question, you need to come to the table.
Are there any?
Are there any questions?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay. There is. Please. Okay, cool. And we will start straight with questions. Simon?
Thank you, and thanks for coming in. I'd appreciate hearing about the adequacy of the current lights and any issues around, I guess, safety as well as how usable the sports field is at the moment and at night?
Yeah, good. Yeah, thanks. We've got 500 members, and we play over one day of the week at the moment. We're looking to hopefully morph to playing a couple of times a week because we train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's more for, say, solo parents and kids with parents of more than 2 kids, so they can actually have time to watch all their kids' sport. And alongside of our disabled rugby team, they prefer to play through the week. The lights, the towers were installed. They're ex-Boys High, and I think they were installed 30 years ago. Old light heads on the back of them and stuff. They're only used for training, and the light coverage is poor, meaning that when you're running into darkness, that's where the safety comes into place, and there's collisions and stuff like that, so it's a bit unsafe. And especially with that disabled team, we kind of need a safety zone for everyone so we don't get them into a situation where it is quite bad for them. Rugby has changed because society is getting busy and people getting busy. They want to go skiing or hunting or play different tournaments in the weekend, so we can see pivoting to a weekday game will keep everyone involved because we want kids in sport. We've had massive growth in the female side of things, and the young high school age females with the third play on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So we're just trying to keep everyone involved, and I suppose the reason for the higher towers is that's the standard going forward, and if you have a slightly higher tower, you can over-exaggerate it. Instead of the lights coming in like that, they can go like that, like it's on South Hagley, so you get better light coverage. I think you're about 24 metres on South Hagley, the new rugby field's then, or might be around that height, and the lights sit down opposed to out like that, so the light spillage sits in the rugby playing zone. But we just doing it. The lights aren't fit. It's not great. We just want to try to future-proof the club for the next 20, 30 years and keep everyone involved and keep growing, along with our other friends in the sport can use it too.
And sorry, one more. So at the moment, the nighttime use is training as
solely for training,
playing games.
Yeah, no games, solely for training.
And would it be possible to play a game
under that current light?
No,
light coverage isn't good enough. You've got to deeply train within the 22s to get the light coverage. You can't use the middle of the field.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emma and then John.
Yeah, thanks.
So are there other parks available for night playing rugby at night?
Yep, correct. They're at capacity right now. I think we'll see over the next 3 years the Canterbury Rugby Union strategy is to try to recapitalise everyone with night lights, what they've done in Selwyn, and the game will start playing on a Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, thanks. Hi guys. Is there a timing deadline or urgency aspect to this?
We'd like to, in the ideal, we'd like to have them installed by next season. We've currently got 7 teams that train on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you can imagine, not a lot of square metres can get used, so it's inconducive of growing the game internally for us.
Sure. And speaking of that sort of supply and demand imbalance on grounds, what did you think of Christopher Kisling's idea about utilising Addington, if such a thing was possible?
I'd love our rugby club to be based out of Addington and use the grandstand, all the rest of it. Reality is, I don't think that's going to happen. The cost, but probably who owns it, the city or rugby, that's going to be rugby league.
City.
The cost will outweigh, was it?
City.
The cost of renting it will be very much probably, we'll get in the same situation as using Napuna Way, where there's a waiting list to play night games because the demand's so high, and rugby league will get prioritised because that's their direct ground over rugby union, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, that's where the games are going, and I suppose growth is good.
Sure.
We've also just spent over $1 million putting in the new changing facilities on site, so it'd be a shame to sort of get into those as well.
Is that over near the bowling club.
Their
Okay.
headquarters is
We're
now
our
Bowls Club.
bases,
Yeah.
Is that a new base? Sorry, is that a new base?
Yeah, we sold the East Street club rooms 2-3 years ago, and we've got what they call the North Hackney Sports Trust. So we've got a handful of community sports in there. We're looking to grow that, and that's part of the reason the lights coming too, because we've got AFL and Gaelic football and stuff like that. And we'd like to use that with Longwood Girls High, Boys High, and a few other high schools too, and community groups. I want to share it.
I have one more.
Just one thing, Pauline.
Oh, yeah.
I'll come back to you, John.
Sorry, I hope no one asked this when I was out of the room, but the lower poles, 14 metres or even 13 with more bulbs on them, would that work?
No, you're going to get spillage that probably pushes out into Danzig, because effectively they'll be the same height. They will get blocked by the trees, but you're lower and your lights are going to be angled like that then, so you're not getting the actual full light of the field. That's the modelling done by the.
We had advice done from AFL Electric, so their recommendation was that height. And I guess you get the more downward light and it avoids the spillage out onto the
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because it's interesting that the Waipapa board recommended 13 metres for Waltham Park.
They're only training lights, so they won't be playing. Yeah.
So what's the difference? Training and playing?
Training and playing. I think training you have probably 50 lux, and I think playing you go to 100 or 200, something like that. Don't go quite.
It's the strength of the light.
Yeah, so you need
concentration.
brighter lights for the actual games.
You need better concentration on the square area opposed to it spread out. Yeah.
Thank you.
John.
Yeah, pretty much the same question, I guess, about height, but it was just, with the added luminosity that you'd be getting from the LEDs, 5,700 Kelvin, do the poles have to be 18 metres high?
I believe so. That's what the modelling went on the light. I'm not a professional, but that's what the guy said. He said to get this at this certain lights to play, you've got to have them up higher and facing down more directly, opposed to lower and facing out. And then the problem was when you get lower with the higher things and they're facing out, can push out, the light spillage pushes out further.
I get that about the angle, and I can visualise that point, but I'd like to hear it from someone, a lighting person. Yeah.
But we're just saying professional advice.
Well, it should be in the
Whatever.
Sure, I'll put stuff about it.
It should be in the report.
Yeah.
No. Cool, are we done?
Yeah, I'm
Cool,
good.
cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
You guys,
All right, we will continue with the no petition. And this will be all good. So we have got first staff report on subdivision roading approval for Mata Place. And we have got David online Zoom with us. Here, David.
Yeah,
Cool, over to you.
so yes, this is just about a subdivision to get some no stopping lines resolved. And yeah, it'll just be if there are any questions, otherwise it'll be assumed read.
Happy to move, Sunita, when you're ready.
I'll second.
All right, Jake and Pauline. Any debate?
I just need to bring it up, sorry, but is this the one where the whole street's closed off? No,
No.
Okay, no
It's
question.
a new subdivision around Bankshead. It's just a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, so there's no parking whatsoever on the cul-de-sac? No.
That is correct. That is what the plans are for.
It's too narrow.
You have a question, John?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah,
Just one.
yeah.
I think I know, but David, this is not ex-red zone land, is it?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that. Sorry, I'm transport, not about the consenting of the construction of it, but I would assume not. It's about a 3-year-old subdivision that has been completed.
I don't think it is, but I just wanted to be certain of that.
Yeah, sorry, no.
Not that we're approving the subdivision, but it makes a difference to.
Cool, thank you. If we do not have any further question, then.
I've just got a wee, well, I've got a statement, it's like,
Yep,
Well, we can go
Again-
to debate.
we can go to debate.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
So, yeah, we're building these new housing developments and it seems to be taken away from community, because where do the grandparents park when they come and visit, and where do visitors park? And this is,
a very obvious situation here with absolutely no parking on that new road. But it will continue in other places. So is it appropriate during this sort of a development?
Yep, I guess it goes into probably when it comes to the transport, we need more information on what the development is. Is there garages, is there car parks with the development? So I think.
Is there
we
parking for
probably
visitors?
When it comes to the transport side of things and no parking on the road, or making this form of decision, probably a bit more background of what's happening in there would be probably a bit more beneficial to give more of a proper answer.
I think it would be going out of the scope of our decision at the moment.
That's right.
The parking on these lines.
Very good. Okay, thank you. We go into votes. All in favor? Aye. Against?
Aye.
Emma, you will be noted. Yep.
No vote.
Oh, okay, and Ashley is abstaining. Yep. Carried.
No.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Next, we have on item number 8, Richton Road, Facebook Intermediate School parking restrictions. Ashley.
Cool.
Welcome.
Kia ora, I also have Tony Smith with me here as well. I have the report, but I'm pretty much happy to take this as read. We're just looking to pop a P3 out the front of Casper Intermediate at the entrance.
Okay.
Happy to move.
Okay, Simon and John. Any debate? Any questions?
I'll debate.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. All right, Simon, over to you.
Oh, just very quickly, this is my neighbourhood and the intermediate school that all my children went to. I move past it sort of during school hours quite often, and it is a busy area. So fully supportive of the change. It should have a very low impact sort of on others in the community, but should help improve safety at that busy spot. So fully in favour, and thanks to staff for bringing it forward.
Anybody else like to speak to? No? Right. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Now we move to item number 9, Hagley Park North Sports Field lighting. So I've got Karen and Derek. Derek, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Basically, what this is about is we've got existing light poles on Hagley Park North that, as the gentleman from the Waipapa Boys Rugby support had mentioned, as the existing lights are old and 30 years old, and they've gone, and as I described, they've gone beyond their purpose, and they need to be replaced. There's a whole lot of reasons why they need to be replaced. They're just deteriorating. They're not serving the purpose. One of the key things is that what they're lighting is they're lighting sports fields. They're not lighting natural areas or forested areas. They're not lighting roads. They're not meant to be lighting other things. So when they need to be replaced, and they were never formalised in terms of any sort of arrangement, they appeared. And so when we've received an application to replace them, and so that's what this is all about, where the application is to replace, and you're not going to replace them with the same inferior lights, you're going to replace them with the appropriate structures, that's what they are, that will serve the purpose, and they've got better lighting, and you've heard all the debate about the height and the intensity, and there's a lot of research has been done on that, and so the determination that these types of poles that are of a height that 18 metres and or higher, and we have elsewhere on similar recent floodlights being put on parks have been higher. And you've heard the reasoning why it comes down to the light coverage and the spread. And so, yes, some of the details went in the report, but there's always the consideration about the height would allow the minimisation of undue light spread and yet serve the purpose to illuminate ground. So those 18-metre high with the number of lights, floodlights on them, will serve that purpose. They don't need to be the same level as has happened in Hagley Park South, whereas there's a higher demand for the lighting spread. The level of replacement is appropriate for the site. It will serve the purpose. It won't impact on the environment. I will tell you, in my view, replacing barn poles with a metal pipe off the top of it with a transformer, ugly transformer on the pole with quality professional specialist lights that are not just appeared out of the woodwork, they're the result of a lot of consideration internationally. And these ones will serve to light the ground. The light spread will be less. The heights of the poles below the tree height. So the average tree height is 20 metres plus, 20 to 24 metres for the surrounding trees, and it's 3 layer of trees. So there will be less lights built. In the past, we had other processes for formalising floodlights on parks. So it's only in the last year or so that we've now gone for a more robust process of having ground leases for the 1 metre platform under each pole. The last time that was put in place was for the big lights on Hagley Oval. So this will allow better control of what goes in place, what it's used for, what the obligations and the rights of both parties, the council representing the people in Christchurch, and the other side, which are the clubs. And I think the important thing too, it's not just rugby. These can be utilised by other parties, so it won't be just a closed shop for one club. It will be an important asset that doesn't cost the ratepayers anything, and yet we can call the shots, if you like. So it's a working together. As was mentioned about the changing rooms, there's infrastructure and facilities that are being placed on this part of the park that will benefit all the park users, not just the clubs involved. Process it is complicated. I do need to point out that, yes, we are very aware that Hagley Park is a different kettle of fish to some of the other parks. It has the management plan. I'm very aware of that. I wrote the review of that plan. I know what's in it. And the intention was not to restrict, but to raise the bar so that any new buildings, toilet blocks, whatever, Holland Park has to go for the hard yards and that's what's happened. So this process is working. But it's to also recognise that for a significant, the premier park for the city, and now we've got Ngāpunawa's coming in there, but Hagley Park's still premier, we need to have premier assets based on them. So this is the opportunity to do that, but to formalise it, to now have in place, moving forward, we'll go through all the due process, and yes, we will follow the Management Plan and Reserves Act and the leasing policies, etc., etc. So there'll be no shortcuts that have been, and there have been no shortcuts taken to this stage. The applicants, when they first applied, which was about 2 years ago, and they said, oh, well, we're replacing our lights, we'd like to install them. I said, just a minute, we need to start looking at this. So I've actually held them in 1.5 to 2 years, and that's because we were going through a really thorough process of evaluating that they wanted to do. And so So it hasn't been a short process. I think that probably covers it, and I'm the other speak.
Cool. Thanks, Jared. I was actually going to ask you the question about management plans. I'm glad you spoke to it. But anyone else have a question? Emma or John?
So why wasn't the management plan mentioned in the report?
It's yes, and when I was aware of that, yeah, not because of any deliberate action. Partly is because we've actually been looking at there were when we're looking at the leases for not just the lighting towers, but for other facilities on parks. They are in other parks in the city. There have been cases where there hasn't been a management plan, and they haven't been on a recreation reserve. They've been on no reserve status. So there was the approach taken was to look at the process that would need to have a ground lease in place, not to say that it's not subject to the Reserves Act and that the Happy Park Management Plan is in place. So I put my hand up for that, and it's not deliberate action at all. But I acknowledge that should have been mentioned here.
And you mentioned the fact that the fields are used by other sports. I've never seen that before. I'm not a rugby head, but I watch a lot of rugby. And I've never seen another sport being played there. And I also question, so that the fields actually are managed by the Old Boys Rugby Club, yes? So if anyone else was going to use those fields, do they need to get permission from the club?
No, so there are a number of other clubs. So I know they were mentioned by the applicants. The fields are managed by the council and allocated with the sports field allocation. So and the allocation is to high school Old Boys Rugby, but there's also allocations to other groups who wish to make to use the sports fields. But the primary allocation is to high school Old Boys.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that they sound like they actually need it most of the time, and that there will not be much used by other clubs or other teams or other sports in it that is required by them.
Yeah, so with the case of the lights, yes, it is high school Old Boys. So during outside and daytime hours where there was other usage of, as with all the other sports fields in Aggie Park, they're used by multiple groups.
Yeah. I mean, that Old Boys do a great job supporting Girls High. I know that through the fields. So yeah.
Good. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you. I commend you for knowing the management plan.
It was 2 years out of my life.
I bet it was.
And it must be.
I want to zoom in on section 7, policy 17, if I may. I wrote earlier today a question with regard to that and put the commentary just now. Thanks for enlightening on that. But we, as a sort of a hearings panel, we need to be cognizant of the Hagley Park Management Plan to determine whether we recommend this or not. And I zoom in on section 17 or policy 17.1, where there are particular requirements. So I might summarise them down to necessity, and that the number of structures be kept to a minimum, and that there not be a significant reduction in the park's open space landscape character, right? I'll question these one at a time. So the first question is about necessity. It's necessary, I would suspect, to have lighting to be able to play rugby at night. However, what is the degree of necessity for this particular lighting? Apart from AOTA's recommendation, and with respect, they're selling lighting. So.
They're old and past their use by date.
There's that, yeah.
The lighting is they can either, in terms of the management plan, the reference to buildings and structures. So depending on which interpretation they can be considered under the district plan as a building. I would take them as a structure. So they are necessary. What people will remember, one of the beauties of Hagley Park, it's a landscape, but it's a landscape with natural features, yes, trees, wildlife, but it's also a landscape for sports activity. So fundamentally, and in the old terminology, it was deemed to be a sports park. So the actual, in terms of the need, so the actual fields themselves they're within the natural environment, which is the tree corridor where all the nature is. But the sports fields are the sports field. And so the need for them to be, one of the things with sports fields is to have the optimum use of them. So that's day and night, or day and dusk. And having the lights in the first place was that a better, more use could be made of them. And particularly with the training side of things, it would be done after hours when it's dark. And so the lights were needed. And so it's really just continuing what is currently allowed for. So with the times, the times of the year and the days of the week, and the actual times each day, nothing's going to change. It's currently what they continue with. So if there weren't these new lights being brought in, it would be status quo would continue. There would be old inadequate lights that would continue to be used until such time they fell over, which is what we don't want to see happen.
None of us want that happen.
So the need is there, yes.
Sure. But with the submitters, I don't think any of them are objecting to the activity there, of the sports activity. That's all good. But nor the existing light format, but it's just that there's such a considerable lengthening of the aggregate height. 6 poles at 14 to 8 poles at 18. That's a 71% increase.
Well, that's actually the standard as applies, not just for Christchurch, but other centres in New Zealand and internationally, and I know there's all this debate about the height of 14, but as the gentleman from the high school envoys indicated, is one of the directions from a lighting specialist are that the increased height will provide better coverage. And one of the biggest issues is the light spill. So the lights are able to be directed down, they're not directing out. So, and the other thing too is that there's probably about in the recent months or a year, there have been about 4, 5 or 6 cases where other lights have been replacing existing 14-metre high ones, and they've been replaced with 18 or higher. So I know there's one case where there's a 14, there's information to that I can't indicate now, but I know that. But the general principle, the general thing that's been happening is that these old barn pole lights at 14, 13, 14, 15 metres are being replaced by lights that range between 18 and 22 metres high. And in the case of Hagley Park South, the lights there, I think, are getting up nearer towards the maximum, which is 29 metres, 24 to 29 metres. So they're considerably higher. But they were not the reason why they're different, because they're a council-initiated project, not an application by an external recreation party.
Do you nonetheless regard them as a precedent for this?
I wouldn't compare. It's like comparing with the lights in Hagley Oval. They're a different kettle of fish.
Sure.
A different situation.
I agree. The quality of light coming off of them, off of the height, 5,700 Kelvin at cold blue temperature, is a significant difference. I'm not a lighting expert actually, but neither, we don't have a lighting report in here to substantiate this stuff. I have a street light outside of my place and they replaced the head to LED blue and it lights the place up like it's daytime, which is fantastic in that context. But I don't think we want it here. There's no lighting report in the report.
The report would be the attachment to that had all those specimens signified. So that, a lot of that is in terms of the light. So that's attachment 3. So that's actually quite standard with the information that's provided. And there's also information about the type of floodlights and everything about the illuminance or intensity coverage. So there's a lot of information out there. It would probably go beyond the gamut or the purpose of what we're doing now in terms of approving an occupation, if you like, on a park. And a lot of the technical detail, this sort of detail is normally dealt with in the consenting side of things. So in this case, these lights will need building consent or a building consent waiver, in which all that technical information will be evaluated at that district plan rule level. And again, I go back to that, the intensity or the nature of the lights, they're much improved, but they're better coverage. You don't have the shadow effect. One of the other reasons for them being higher, other than avoiding the spill, is that you don't have that shadow. That's the reason why we have the big lights on Hagley Oval, the 50-metre high ones, is that X is one of the best light coverages for that space. There's very little light spill. We had concerns about the bats in the trees and other wildlife in the trees being impacted by light spill. Those ones have virtually no light spill into the trees. So the higher you go, the better the product in terms of light effect. And when I say light effect, also light impact and light benefits. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I would prefer to see an ecological effects input into that, because an animal with eyes still see the glow of the light, even if it's not spilling onto them. But I don't know much about cicadas, but the fact that they live there. But
they live underground most of the time.
But they have
February they come out. You wouldn't have the lights on in February.
I know nothing about cicadas, but neither does. I mean, there's nothing in the report about that sort of thing, wildlife. So I just wonder if there was any assessment about, were any other alternatives seriously assessed?
The reason why it's not an application for new lights to be put on the park, it's an application to replace the existing right of floodlights on a park. And I acknowledge that, and the report acknowledges that there are the other two lights to cover the Union, the third field. So, but it's in effect yes. So it was in response to an application to put new. If they were putting on existing lights, we probably wouldn't need to go. They've already got that existing right of use. But because the lights were much more improved, much more lighting value, higher, that triggered the need, and this is when I was reviewing it, triggered the need for an application for a lease to be initiated. And that's what was advised High School was. They didn't want to do that. Well, they didn't think they had to do that. They had the right of existing use. But it's in effect, though it's for a new lease, it's because one doesn't exist. But it's not a new development. It's an existing development or structure or building, whatever you want to call it, albeit a little bit
quite a bit
improved. But yes, and so that dictated how we responded to it. That didn't mean that we didn't look at all the effects. I wasn't an expert on lights as well. I don't want to be, because there's so much complexity of detail, and that's why we rely on the specialists, the engineers and the electricians who provide advice. With the application, that has been provided, and that's what led into this information. And there'll be the building consent application. There'll be much more information that's provided for that.
Right. Yes. One more quick one, if I may. The height of the trees, average 20 metres. What's the source of that data?
We have council. We have arborists to go out and measure the heights of the trees. So we have on our intranet, we have probably you people can access it, and it will actually tell you every individual tree will tell you the height. I've gone through and selected quite a few of them, and the heights I picked were for full-size trees between 20 and 25 metres in height. The height of it, so obviously the height of the tower is below the height of the tree. Then there's also 3 lines of trees between the sports fields and Dean's Avenue. And that's why most of the light effects, so the people who talk about, they look out their window and they can see through the trees that light. So with the new lights, you'll have less of that effect of the light shining into the kitchen windows. So the lights will actually be shining down, but then and there won't be the spill, but any spill would be connecting with the foliage of the trees.
Yeah. And out of fairness, I do have one more, sorry, and that's about the finish, the shiny, these are very shiny things, and there's been discussion, including, can they, you didn't answer that for me today, but about the finish, are you sure?
There's been a lot of discussion about that, and there's and depending on how much money you want to throw at that. And I know that the reason, so for the other examples of similar lights, and the reason why the one that was picked outside of Christchurch, because that was provided, it gave the best example, but they're all of that, that type of design is that non-painted version. One of the reasons is that it's not reflective. Also, with the painting will require a considerable greater cost of maintenance. You'll need to have it painted, repainted every several years, and you'll be looking at tens of thousands of dollars per pole probably. So it's not, the other one too is that what do you paint it? Would it be painted a colour that sort of blends in, but still you can see it? So it would be a similar colour to the non-painted version. And I know there's been comments about, oh, you paint it the colour of the sky or paint the colour of the trees. Well, that will actually have more of a impact depending on which direction you're looking visually. All those other ones that have been put in have all been of that nature. So not, and the ones that are in Hagley Park South have got the similar appearance, and they went through a building consent process.
Yeah. I'm asking that question because I'm thinking about the thousands of Christchurch people who commune with nature by walking through or around the park. You know, it's one of its predominant uses also during the daytime. So the daytime impact, visual impact of these things. The current ones are not very noticeable.
Yes, because it's familiar. Because yes, they're not noticeable. That's because they're familiar. And yes, of course, when you put a new toilet block or a new building on a park, yes, you notice it. It's new. It's before it becomes part of the environment. What's important is one of the reasons too that they're noticeable, and you notice that the existing ones have these big cushioning things around them.
Yeah.
And that's to stop when they don't injure themselves with hitting. It's also you don't want these lights here so they're not there. You look at the ones at Hagley Oval, they're not. The same debate was over the coloration of that as well. And they're not, they stand out, they're observed, you can see them, but they're not an eyesore, they're not an impact on the environment. Remember, it's an environment, it's a sports park environment, and so it's not impacting on the trees, they're away from the trees, but you can see them.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's been applied and proven in all the other cases that we've done recently.
Okay, thanks for your time, Joe. Yeah, got it. Sorry, thank you. Yeah.
Pauline, do you have a question?
Look, I'm just thinking that a way forward with this, it might be with the board's consideration that we just refer this to council, because Hagley Park is metropolitan, even though it sits in our ward. And I don't sense a willingness around this table for anyone to actually move this. So I'm just putting it out there that we don't have to make a recommendation. We can just forward this to council, perhaps with a noting provision.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, thanks, Jake.
If I may, yes, so it is a decision of council, and so what the purpose of the community board is to endorse the staff recommendations to council and to add any that it deems fit. And also the function of the board, which is it's been doing, is exercising the capacity to hear the written submissions. So I totally agree. It is a matter for the council to, and that was the delegation's consideration, and it was the mayor and Andrew Rutledge who had determined that it go through this pathway.
I think, Derek, that's true, but let's face it, it'll get completely and utterly relitigated at the council table anyway, with every councillor having a view on this. So I'm just suggesting perhaps, I don't know how the chair and deputy feel about that, but it might be a good way forward for us, unless there's anyone who is really mad keen to move this, and I don't see anybody doing it.
Actually, what I think we should do regarding this is, because it's such a complex matter, probably have our own viewpoints. Like personally, I think it is like time is moving forward. Our children do need safety. I have 3 kids. They play rugby. It is a nightmare at night. It is a bit spooky when your face out.
Do you want to move it? And that's what's come down to. Does anyone want to move it?
Are we getting into debate then?
No, does anyone want to move
It
it?
might be a good idea. Like I understand everyone's viewpoints.
But you don't debate until there's a motion on the table.
Oh, well, I'll move an alternate. I'll move that we put it to council with a recommendation that it be offset against the Hagley Park management plan. Right? We can't recommend it.
We've
on
had
its
advice that
current.
it already does comply with the management plan. Now that's the problem here.
I don't think it does.
Because look, all our submitters.
Sorry, Derek, answer that.
Yeah.
He said it will comply with the
So,
management plan.
yes, so without the word being mentioned, yes, everything, all the principles and the analysis was with determination with the policies of the management plan as I've been
And therefore,
describing.
indeed, and therefore the council decision must also require that.
So John, are you just saying refer it to council, noting that
What our views are.
there's a clause added about the compliance with management plan?
Yeah.
Something like that. Would that work?
Section 17. All of it.
To assure the councillors that it does.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it should have been there.
Yeah, it should be in the report.
Well, I'd second that.
Okay.
Can you please look at the screen and see if the wording are good?
I'll need a little bit of, so what was the?
No, that the board resolves to refer this matter to council with the addition of assurance from staff that the recommendation complies with the Hagley Park management.
2007.
Section 17, was it, John?
Yeah. Policy system. It's good. I do need more, but. Buildings, 17 building structure. I got it printed.
So Mark,
Stationary, it ran out.
the board,
I was just recommends that the council, I'm just trying, I know refers is the ideal word, I'm just trying to work out how to work it into there.
Well, we are still recommending.
if you're taking out recommend, just say refers this matter to the council.
I'm happy to recommend it. I'm also on a mission.
Oh, yeah, well, John's got a motion on the table now. Should have said that.
Oh.
I think actually would second it.
John can reconsider if Simon, you want to put it on.
Sorry, John, is your intention that we are recommending, but noting the assurance that it's compliant? Are we recommending?
Subject to.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
subject.
we're recommending it subject to it.
Subject to the addition of the assurance.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. That's it.
Well, I'm wondering, sorry, through the chair, but whether this is just an additional resolution at the end rather than rewording resolution 2.
Yeah.
Is it a resolution G?
So you mean?
Oh, sorry, it would be a resolution 3 because we've got 1, we're receiving it, 2, we're recommending that. Resolution 3 might be that the board notes the assurance of staff that that this is compliant with.
This will be implied.
Will be.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a critical difference.
Great.
Notes the assurance of staff. Something like that if you're happy.
Assurance.
Yeah, I know what the proper wording is. It notes the assurance and stuff that the application will be assessed against the Hagley Park management plan. There's a little bit of future tense in there.
It's just don't know if anyone's assessing it now. So,
what I'm sensing from our summitor is that what made them felt uneasy was that they felt that the management plan wasn't taken into consideration. So it's definitely worth for us, for staff to, and it would be a matter of adding a paragraph to the report while it's like you're doing the assessment. Because you said that it has been through the lens of that plan.
That's not what I mean.
You mean the overall
I mean, it needs
assessment?
to be assessed against the, 17.
Okay.
If I may, I think you could add
necessity.
you could add a paragraph in the report, in the body of the report, but it's probably not necessary, because I think I agree it probably having in the recommendation that there is that connection with the management plan the council would appreciate. I think that's probably more of a helpful thing. As I said, the whole nature of the assessment for the report obviously had to be considering the principles in the management plan.
Yeah, so
no,
they have to by law.
They have to.
Yes, but the issue is that there was no reference to that in the report, and that is what we're looking for, Mark, that we're wanting some reference in the report when it goes to council. So would you be able to include something in the report for councillors?
Memo could be added at that stage.
Yes, I think Mark is probably good at
We wouldn't change the report as such, but we could add a memo on as an additional attachment if that's helpful.
That would be the
yes, that would be.
I just don't want to patchwork. I want to be assured that all the submitters who came to us, we are giving them an actual picture, because at the moment, and Derek, it's no reflection on your work, but the way I am seeing it, that I'm believing you, but we want our wider community member to believe the report.
So do you want to put
so we want to have a report which is in their hand, which is well assured, giving them well assurance.
So via a memo when it comes to council table, something like that. Do it.
Yes.
John?
I think it needs to go as far as a sort of a supplement to the report.
No, it can't. It's too late. It takes about 6 weeks to get there.
Yeah. Well,
Can it be not done until next meeting?
Well, a memo would be similar to a supplement, as it would be.
Yeah.
Because it would be as
yeah.
trial piece of extra information to add when it goes to council to this existing report. And that will be giving, if I'm understanding correctly, the assurance that the application's being assessed against the provisions of the plan.
Yeah, a supplement to the report that.
So it would be an attachment.
Yeah.
Which is a memo.
Yeah. Well, rather than saying memo, could we just say
Attachment, yeah.
John, I'm just wondering that this is kind of written in future tense that the application will be assessed, but I believe it has been assessed against those provisions.
It is.
Well, it is assessed.
I would prefer is.
Yeah.
Present.
Yeah.
Just put phone attachment full stop.
Because that applies to both the
Staff,
Not
the assurance from staff.
Right.
Yep.
Then the application is assessed against the provisions of the Waipapa plan. And detailed explanation, basically. I would say detailed explanation.
Environment attachment possibly should make earlier in the sentence.
Something like that.
Thanks,
Sure.
I think we're there, John.
Just assessed against the provisions of the Hagley Park management plan. It's not necessarily, but add some clarity to it. I've got Mark, I'll just pass some words, including the provisions relating to new structure. I mean, it's kind of self-evident. It's unnecessary information, but it adds clarity, I think, of what we need. We're not talking a patchwork, we're talking what I.
So sorry, how much?
Well, currently assist against the visions of the plan.
Oh, yes. Including the provisions relating to structures, landscape. I don't want to lose sight of landscape character and those things. You know, colour.
Good point.
Because it's not just about the lights, you know, it's about the erections.
And use. But also, it's gonna future proof the future for our young generation, so that too. And open more doors for our children. Yeah, but the thing is, it's Hagley Park.
It's Hagley Park.
And it's a management plan, and
this.
that's it.
It's got to fit with that.
I mean, completely agree with you, and yeah.
John, sorry.
Sorry.
The
Yes.
first word notes, I think we're actually requesting insurance
Yes.
by an attachment.
We are indeed.
It's this once Mark's done that.
Yes.
Right,
Get it
it's
right, yeah.
there.
Sorry, no.
And including the version of the new structure landscape plan for material and time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And we probably don't need the word that as the second word in the sentence. It's probably just.
Are we there?
Grammar.
Nearly there?
English police.
Yes.
Yeah. You good?
We might just want to check.
I'm still proofreading it. So,
Derek, you happy with the wording?
Yes, I think it's, I'm happy with that because it really makes it explicit, the actual intent.
Yes.
And yes, all those words we can appropriately respond to it. I can provide that.
The only thing I think is that it starts right at the top. It recommends that the council would it be notes that the board has requested.
Yeah, the board has requested assurance, yeah,
Just to make it simple.
that's right.
yeah.
Oh, that's requested,
Well, so,
We need to read the top part.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so we're sure done
So,
now.
yeah. And the rest of it stays as it is from the top. Yeah, so we received it.
just number 2, I think, might
Yeah.
be a little bit mangled now.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
Happy?
2, I think is recommends to the council.
I got recommends up there.
Oh,
It was, I was trying to keep the original structure of the officer recommendation, so I put resolves that. So recommends as well. Yeah.
Are you going to read the whole thing now, John?
No, I'm happy with that.
Are you happy?
Takes it
Okay.
up 3.
Jake, you're good, Mike?
Mike's gone.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay.
can we
cool.
check, sorry, can we check 1 and 2 again? So
yeah, thanks. Just checking.
just comparing it with what's in the agenda.
Yeah, it should just be that between two.
You haven't changed anything else, have you?
No, it's just need to get recommends up the top and then it's just that heading.
Yeah.
So approving the ground base. It's D. Oops.
Okay.
Subject to.
Yep, if we're happy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so we're not putting a subject to under D, but 3 is a
3 kind of
is a
applies to
notation
the whole lot.
accessory overall, right?
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Good.
Everybody's happy?
So you've moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved that.
Yes.
And I seconded it.
Okay. Pauline already seconded it. Yeah, and we are all happy for it to
Well done.
vote on,
Yeah,
cool,
well, it's a 20
So-
thing, so for everyone.
all in favor?
I
Carried. Can I make a statement before you read the table, please? I just want to make sure with the whole exercise, we have understood that a very important piece of legislation was not mentioned. And I'm assured by you that it's not an oversight, but it's an important note that for community to know that it's being considered.
You mean the management plan?
The management
Yes,
plan,
yes.
yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of the park is that it's got And when we did the haggling over ones, all the parties had mentioned that it was really good that there was good, robust management plan and master plan for both the Hagley Park and the Botanic Gardens in place.
Yeah.
So that was on both sides. So I acknowledge that, and that was never the intent that it be excluded. It was a word in.
Yeah. So as and I believe I speak for all of us, is that we appreciate the contribution club is doing. However, the Hagley Park belongs to all. So everybody else's voices and requests must be considered. So thank you for all the work you have done on it. Cheers.
Thank everyone.
And good job. All right, next we move to item number 10, McFarland Park, Urban Forestry Planting Plan. And we have Toby.
That's all right. Oh, good.
Oh, and Karen, both. Yes, Toby, over to you.
Good, everyone. So it's getting late. I do have a presentation which we could raise to the room. But I'm also happy if you guys want this mark the report as read.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's just we'll skip the presentation, but the presentation just went over what the program is about, how we engage with people, including there's a section on here about how we address shading issues now. So we've changed the tool. We used to just provide a map that showed shading at its worst time of year and at its best. And on the ground, what that meant is it showed really long shadows about half an hour before the light went. And what you couldn't see is that shadow was actually only about that high a lot of the time because the shadows cast so long. So what we've now got is an online 3D tool, which seems to be getting quite a lot of interaction, and people can jump in. It's got all the houses in 3D, so you can go down, you can see the proposed planting at 5, 20 years and at maturity. And you can see the impact that those new trees will have.
A question, Pauline?
It's a little bit kind of out of scope, but as part of the consultation, there was a view to, needing more lighting. And I suppose more trees may actually exacerbate that. And I was wondering that as a result of the consultation, you've reduced the number of trees. There's a little bit of money left over. Would that be able to be put into a lighting plan, perhaps? I don't know if you're able to answer that. But
I'm not able to answer that, but I do know another report will be coming through about pathways and other infrastructure going into the park.
It might include lighting.
I don't know if it includes lighting, but I'm sure I can mention it and they can make sure that they're at least ready to address their question.
Yeah, because it did come up through the consultation. Thank you.
On the lighting aspect, so the community planted a group of tofita trees along the boundary. We're proposing that those get moved. We haven't mentioned that to them. And the reason is that lighting. Tofitas are a very thick, dark canopy tree, so we wouldn't necessarily plant them in that location.
So how did they get? I would have assumed that they would have worked with council to. No. They just put them in. They just put them in. Okay, and do you think you'll be able to successfully move those?
Yes, I think they're young enough that we can successfully.
Okay. I'm happy to move this. Okay.
Pauline is a mover. Emma, seconder.
Yeah, all right.
Any debate? No?
Yes.
Okay, Pauline, please.
This is super exciting. Thank you very much. I think the community will be really, really happy with this. So thanks for all the work.
Well, thank you very much. We will vote on it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
Here we are. Thanks.
Where else?
Cool. Next we have is Leander Street Reserve revocation for land disposal and road dedication. And we have Sarah. Sarah.
Can I take the report as read? So this basically just involves the council, recommending to council that they approve.
We'll put your mic on. That's it. Yeah.
Approve commencement of the public notification process required by DOC for the revocation of a reserve, and for the report to go back to council if any objections are received to be considered, If not, the process is that the application will be made to DOC to also consider revocation of the reserve status and ensure that councils follow the correct process and dealt with any objections appropriately. Simon?
Thank you. I understand there's construction work happening in that area at the moment, and I just wanted to double check because I had someone ask me whether any of the current construction works have assumed that this, decision's already been made, or is the work that's happening there sort of other aspects of that development?
Yeah, good question. Part of the so there's 3 sections of council land that are the subject of this report. A point strip.
Yes.
And another, the balance of the reserve that's going to be dedicated as road, and then the area that will be part of the development, that's section 1.
Yeah.
So council has given permission for works to start on the point strip, council start, on the point strip and the section 2, the balance of the road reserve, because they are part of the stormwater and other, works that benefit council as well.
Right.
The construction did occur on the reserve initially, but when council staff were alerted to it, a letter was sent to their lawyer to tell them to cease, subject to the public notification and revocation process, not wanting to presume an outcome that hadn't been determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy to you.
Yeah, no, I've got the opinion, because I've got the opinion that we shouldn't be giving up any of our council land in areas that are intensifying. So where's the nearest park? Has this been used as a recreational area in the past?
No, my belief is that the reserve was kind of fenced in already and not used at all. And not really maintained. So, and the other units in council have all reviewed future use of that reserve and said that it wasn't required.
Okay, so where's the nearest park?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Just around the domain.
It's
Page
also,
113, you can see where the section is that's proposed.
it's also the Norm Withers Reserve and the little, is it the wee playground? What's the wee one in the Apollo?
Yes.
There's a few.
Okay.
It's
But
not
Emma, this is going out for public notification anyway, so it's
That's right.
public feedback.
Okay.
It's not.
And also as part of the public notification consultation with iwi at the same time.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Cool. All right. So we have Simon as a mover and Ashley, seconder. And all in favor? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Okay. Next we have Stacey Byron for our strengthening community fund.
Yeah, Karen. Karen, can you explain why you're here?
No, kia ora. You might be wondering, supposed to be talking to reports. Upskilling and essentially getting some more experience. I've been very fascinated in the funding applications for a long time and finally got the chance to throw my head in the ring. So yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
I heard you had a very rigorous training to be on this.
Yes,
Yeah?
Stacey's a good trainer.
Okay.
So it is our honour and privilege to present the staff recommendations of the 26-27 strengthening communities. Just a note, we have a healthy DRE. One of the reasons for that was some key groups didn't apply, met the deadline. So they've been asked to wait till the DRE is established tonight and they can apply from that from tomorrow. Any increases or that the board wanted to do would be greatly received from the groups if that's what you wanted to do. We emailed you the matrices on the 1st of July and we answered and return your questions on the 17th of July. So, yeah, we're happy. Take the report as read. Happy to answer any questions.
Your questions. Oh,
Pauline and then John.
Yeah, I've just got two. Thank you. I didn't see in the report how much you're expecting to come through for discretionary for the late applications. Would we need to know that before we go to an
carry forward?
Yeah.
Is it a spreadsheet?
What's in there?
It'll help you to be able to see. This is the starting point, staff recommendations, and then a proposed DRF balance.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay, I'll just go to my questions around the Methodist Mission application for a mural. And so there's no other funding sources for that?
No.
So the cost is $10,000 and you're recommending 3 with no other.
So they have some reserves which they could use.
Is that what they're
private
recommending?
communities, they could apply as communities, which is open in November.
So obviously you don't hand the money over till they've got all of the funding in place.
So what happens after you make your decisions, our support officer Lisa will send out agreements. Groups have to sign 2 copies and send them back. And then once they're sent back, the money is released. Then groups are asked to send in end of project reports. And if they don't spend their money in their time frame, we will negotiate or ask for that money back.
Yeah, so how much are they intending to put in of their own money then, do you know?
I presume they will go to other funders once they get the council part, I think, which is of 3,000, they'll go to other funders and look at where they can make up the shortfall.
Well, I don't feel super comfortable about that one, but I do feel super comfortable about the outcome, but I just think it's a bit dodgy. The other one I have is the Hegley Learning Centre. It's on page 163. They've requested 2,000 and you've recommended 1, and I'm proposing that we increase that to 1,500, if that's all right with the board, because this is actually working with refugees and migrants, and I know it's cooking and that, but it's such a good way for them to meet each other and to improve their language skills. And I would, so would you?
Oh, hundreds.
That's all right. Yeah.
I would be happy to give them the whole amount if everybody's happy with it.
Well, I'd support that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so and can we afford that without having to reduce another one? We'll just take it from
No, because we've got such a healthy.
We do that option
Okay.
today.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll move that they go to 2,000. Then. Thank you.
We have granted pretty much everybody's wish. Oh, John, sorry, John.
yeah, that's okay. The report mentions the carry forward not being calculated yet. I think that means the carry forward from the previous year.
Yeah, so any board projects or any money that was unspent goes into the carry forward.
Yes.
Just because it's the end of the financial year and timing, they're still working. My boss might have a figure.
Approximately 25.
Oh, cool, great, thank you. Well, that's a coincidence because I'd like to recommend that we top up the Tifori Roimata application to what they requested because of a number of reasons, but they've been quite underfunded and they took that hit from the New Zealand Post this year. Of Central, they're doing an enormous amount of work that benefits other neighbourhoods around there on the social front. And yeah, I think they deserve it. So while it will make our DRF slightly less healthy, it will still be healthy.
So I'm just trying to pull up, John, what are you asking? How much extra for them? Oh, here we are.
Yeah.
So we recommended
2.
They want us to send us another 22.
Yes. Now I'm noting that of the central ward allocations, the posh areas like Icon and have had a very light hand. They pay their own way, which is awesome. Appreciate that. But a lot of the funding in central from SCF goes to, about 67% of it goes to the Richmond areas, which they are good. They're very capable, and that's why they get funding, which is great. They do good work. And so I don't want to take it from them, but it's the deprivation area of inner city East, Linwood, Phillipstown that really earns that premium that we get in SCF funding. So I'd like to see a better proportion to go to them. And I think that what I'm suggesting here goes some way to hold that balance.
Can we get a comment from staff on that one? Are you supportive of it?
Yeah. So this year, Kieran and I assessed all of the applications, and so we were. Some of the groups got small increases, some got small decreases, just to try and standardise, try to work out. But yeah, any increase to any group would be gratefully received.
Okay. Good, thank you. You guys are all happy with it?
Yep, so I'm happy to move.
Hold on, I've got one question. So last year with the Community Trust, I voted against it because their constitution needed to be updated.
Is it the Focus Trust?
Community Focus Trust. They had references to God through their constitution, and they were meant to come and talk to us, and it's been done.
They have been updated.
Great.
Any removal to take place has been.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Thanks for the morning.
Well done.
Okay.
Cool. So we're happy to move as a lot. Whole thing, yeah?
With those.
Yep, I can second. Yeah.
Did you want to move? You move.
Okay, I move. Yeah, because I don't get to move.
No. It's going to be a bit quicker.
Someone seconding? Someone seconding?
Cool.
You need a seconder.
Seconder? John. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Sunita and John.
Yes.
Cool. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against carried. Thank you so much for all your work, and you passed. Well done. You get me good and I wasn't being as hard of a chair what Trevor played. Yeah. No.
Your mother.
Popeye, well done.
Oh, overjoyed, thanks.
Thank you very
Cooler
much.
afterwards.
Cool. And then again, Stacey, that's for our board projects.
Board projects. So there are 4 board projects up for consideration. There is a small increase to the youth development because I think we had to top up the last DRE. So
it's good.
Any of these, if there's any money left over at the end of it, they will go back to the DRE.
You want to move?
Any questions? No. Oh, look at that. Pauline is giving me all the moving today.
She's got a hot date tonight.
Yeah.
Happy to see.
Okay. Simon, Sunita and Simon. S square. Cool. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And carried.
DRF?
DRF. Yeah.
DRF.
Right,
So it's for a forfeited trust.
Yes. They've applied for some money to work with the community garden, which is great.
I'm happy to move.
I'm just going to move now.
Okay. I'm happy to move it. John seconded.
Right.
I must say thank you for all the work staff has put into this. So
Yes.
Thank you. I must
Fitting,
acknowledge that. All in favor?
Aye. And our last item from myself is the area report, and
Yes.
that is ready.
Yes.
Happy days.
Oh, looks great, like always.
Yeah, good pictures as always. Like that.
I suppose I had one thing about it. So all the information at the wider information that's outside of our area. So when this goes out to our groups and further afield, is all that on there?
Yes.
Because a lot of it's repetitive every month. And people, like, are we sending them too much information, and should we just be sending them, what has actually been going on and happening?
Can I speak?
Yes.
It is separate from the notice board. So the notice board gets pushed out proactively to those particularly interested groups with just a link to the area report, so they can sort of delve into that area, but it doesn't look quite, like what you're saying.
Yeah, just the thought of,
Weekly notices.
okay, yeah, I just don't want to, like the idea, I mean, I know that well, maybe some of us also know around this table, there's some, like sometimes things get missed. And not read.
All right, so we take it as read, and can I please have a mover? Pauline, you can have the first one.
I don't have
sorry.
Emma looks like she wants, do you want to move something?
Emma and John.
Yeah, let's do
Okay, Emma and John,
settle for that.
yeah, and all in favor?
Aye.
It's fantastic, it just shows you there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Only a few years ago.
Yeah.
There was, it's just
I must
incredible.
get some credit too. A lot of photos are from my social media.
All right.
So Lisa does a good job.
Let's thank the chair for her input into the green report.
No, I just go around.
A minute, that won't you, Mark?
No, thank you. All right, elected member exchange. What's happening?
Happening.
Oh, well, I will just give an update on Courtney Street.
Yes.
I hope you're all going down there. I hope you're all seeing what's happening. It is a diabolical nightmare. My father was up 2 weeks ago and he tried to go to the supermarket and he just said he couldn't, he's 81, not confident driving on the road. And he just said, that's just impossible. He said, I couldn't even get to the supermarket.
Sounds like a good sightseeing tour for us all to go on.
Oh, well, that's what I think. And I think the staff.
Midweek or what time of day?
Well, it's all day long and all night long. I got woken up in the middle of the night the other night to road rage.
Oh, no.
In the middle of the night.
What night? Seven?
No, it wasn't. It was during the week. Cars can't move, so they're getting blocked at each other at each end. So they're tooting and people are yelling at each other. I mean, the rage is actually, quite extreme. I mean, there always has been road rage on that road with parents and things like that, but it's got particularly worse. But, and I know we've got some solutions or, some coming up. And but I think, again, I've said it right from the word go, it's an area-wide issue. And so, looking at taking the parking off Courtney Street, again, look further around. I mean, most places where we take parking, there's parking there. Somewhere, but there's not. And I've been looking at the number of the cars on the road, and it's about between 15 and 20 all day, all night. Cars on there, and there used to be, before these developments, there were none. So again, it's the way up of this increased housing with the usability for the people around it, because at the present time we do not have the public transport. I mean, people need they unfortunately still need their cars to move around. So it's a bigger issue, and we spent a lot of time in our work making our roads safer. And I've said I've been involved in this for over 20 years, and Courtney Street is focal to making a big change for how the area is used, what type of transportations are used, and I just like to see people keeping their minds on it, because it is a major. And for me, it doesn't make any difference because I've got plenty of parking. I couldn't, actually Alice said to me, we could rent it out and make money.
Cool. Thanks, Emma.
Just on a roading thing as well, the Flockton Street. There's been a identification that was some of the work at the Westminster Street end is that right?
It's all the way wrong.
What's the other end? Is dodgy. an inferior work, so the contractor has taken responsibility for that and is going to repair it, but can we get an idea of the time frame or any information, because we were getting hounded by residents about this. So it'd be good to get some feedback on that and an update on where that's at.
Can I also just add to that?
Take that offline,
Yeah.
can't take an action out of this, but I know that it
You
is
could take it
being
offline.
looked into at the moment. So yeah, we're
Very disappointing.
I'll follow up.
And the other thing is that,
Sorry, before we move off that, because it's all the way along, it's not the whole thing. I've been looking at it, it's just getting worse by the day. But the information that we did get on it, I have actually passed that on to the St Albans News. I mean, it was open. So that again, we can get some information out there that yes, there is an issue, and we do recognise it and it is being looked at. So maybe if there is any more information, Emma, you could pass that on to Chris as well.
Is he doing an article?
He's doing an article on it.
Chris.
Chris Hutchins, he's the editor of the St Albans News, and that's news@stalbans.gen.nz.
Sounds quite important. Just the other thing, just a process thing, like was the gentleman that made the deputation about wanting the toilets in the bike park at Rutland Reserve, and then the Shirley people sitting here asking what's the status of the toilet block in McFarlane Park. And I'm assuming that's waiting for the master plan sign off. But where do we go with that and the LTP? Because it's all very well to have plans, but we need the money. So if we miss this LTP, we have to wait 3 years for another one. So are there any plans to put any of these things into our wish list for the LTP? The toilet block at McFarlane Park?
That's on the plan. So that's
For funding?
for funding, there's funding on plan for
And it's,
for that.
it'll hit the LTP.
It should be in the LTP because staff are already looking at it. I'm meant to believe that the funding's in the next couple of years.
Time frame.
Can't remember the
Yeah,
time frame.
good.
If I finish typing this, I will look.
Okay, that's great. And so if we wanted to instigate a new idea for Rutland Reserve, we need to first of all find, which we could probably with discretionary, some funding for feasibility or investigative work. So how do we get that going from a public forum?
Well, we can ask the investigator, so it's planning on putting
Can we?
that through.
Yeah.
That's fine, just investigating. I suspect that advice may come back with some interesting points about the issues on, you just are seeing that it's appropriate for that site with the site's constraints and things like that.
Yeah, because we did ask for staff to work with the school and just start the process. So I guess any further work would bounce off the results of that.
They'd take that into consideration, but it just depends what that advice comes back with about the suitability of the site is probably.
So are you trying to say that first they'll do like a high level assessment and then they will get into a sort of a later?
If we want to take it further,
Is that the process?
I mean, there's an option there for the submissions working group to perhaps discuss that more after, because I suspect that from what I know of that site, it's quite wet. So there might be some real constraints as to the ability to use that site.
They might need amphibious bikes. Yeah, okay.
As well, one of the mechanisms, if that proved to be a good site, or if it was a project in a different area, the moment you complete something of the board plan, that falls off, you get the opportunity to put one in. I'm just suggesting it may not be that it's appropriate for that, but you have that option once which we will.
Yeah, and it aligns very well with a couple of the existing priorities, but it could end up, if something drops off, isn't it something more explicit?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just letting the board know that John and I presented our monthly report to council Tuesday last week. Just last week.
Yeah, you did
Feels
an
like-
excellent job.
Thank you.
Indeed.
We both did well on that. I presented our deputation on the Head Start process as well, and clearly it was a very persuasive deputation.
Yes.
Well, the outcome of the meeting was a council decision in line with our plea, so that was nice.
Yeah, we've got we send the 2 A agents on the job.
Also, just a couple of weeks ago, I helped the Echuia Pool Group host a visit by council staff. So the acting CE and a couple of the senior managers visited the pool site to take a look at progress and sort of see where things are up to. It was just before a planting day, so I know more work's happened since then. I've just been reminded I need to send. I got some good photos from that I'll send through because they could come into the area report. And it was really great to hear from the pool group and from Lynn about the positive relationship with council and with the construction work happening on the council water supply site adjacent to it, and some really good cooperation there, and the provision of the portable relocatable buildings that have come from Naval Point. So there's been some real wins there for the pool group with support from the council. And finally, Papanui Domain, there's just been an email exchange, and I saw site fencing was up on that site this morning. So those macrocarpentries will be coming out. Thank you, Mark, for your for the responses that have come back from staff on that. It's good to know that staff are thinking about the public comms, because we don't want a reaction to people seeing something that they could have been informed about, through some of the channels that we do have.
And what's happening with the timber?
And some good news about how the timber can be used. Because it's a great timber, and as much of it that can be kept in the local community.
It's fantastic what the Shirley people do. So trees.
So good to
really is.
Yeah. That's me.
Well, are they planting anything else instead of the macrocarpet?
Yes, I think it'll be next planting season that the new trees go in. But last year we approved the planting plan, so there'll be new trees going in a similar location, but smaller trees that aren't going to dry the ground out and cause all those safety issues for the sports clubs.
Cool.
Can I, sorry, just add something? 1.359 on budget for the pavilion toilets renewal, and that goes from 27 split over to 29.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Emma. It's great. It's actually going to happen.
Nice. Cool. Feel good?
So because that's already in the budget, it needs to be, that could be brought forward with the will of council at any time if there was reason to do that. At least it's there to accept 28.
The area's just coming in, honestly. Every time you go, that just gets better and better.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
Great job, team. Let's finish off.
Well done.
Kia watia, kia mama, te nako, te tinana, te wairua, I te ata tangata. Koiaka, e rongo, pakai, api ki ronga. Ye tina, tina,
Go well, everybody. Thank you.